Welcome to a Digital Print Solutions video guide on 6 common kiss cut and transfer cut file issues. Issue 1. The cut line is below the artwork. For issue number 1, we made this example artwork to use as a reference. We're showing how the cut line can sometimes be left below the artwork. The cut line here is indicated by a pink line, so when we open up this file, it's very difficult to tell where the cut line is. If you look over at the layers panel, you'll see that there is no layer indicated as a cut layer. This can make it difficult for whoever is assessing this artwork to determine the cut line. In this artwork's case, that line is pink, which you can barely see in there, so this is how you'd want to fix it. If you created a cut line, that's great. Just make sure to create a new layer and label it as cut. Then, proceed to take the old cut line from its original layer and put it in the new one on top. Then we can clearly see where the cut line is. Issue 2. Loops in the cut line. For issue number 2, we're showing another cut line problem. Sometimes, when you're designing in Illustrator, loops can appear in your paths. So, on this cut path here, there's a loop in the cut line right here. The problem with that is that our cutter will actually cut right along the path and into your artwork. So with this loop in the file, your artwork will be cut incorrectly. We want to make sure anytime we have loops like this, to make sure we go into our pen tool and delete any anchor points in a loop so it's one solid cut line instead of having the loop in the file. That way, our printers will be able to cut your artwork just as you want. Issue 3. Cut lines are not clearly labeled. For issue number 3, we will be showcasing how to clearly label your cut line. In this file, and in many of our customers' files, you can see that it is unclear whether this black stroke on the outside is a cut line or just a border within the artwork. This can cause many errors in your artwork. The best way to show us that this is the cut line that is needed is to come over to your layers panel, make a new layer that is labeled cut, move the cut line into the new cut layer, and then make the cut line magenta. Issue 4. Double cut lines. For issue number 4, we're showing an example of double cut lines. In this case, there are 2 cut lines indicated on the cut layer. The problem with that is the printer will cut once on the first line and then once again on the decal, which of course would not be correct. So, what we want to do to fix this is make sure that we ungroup both of the cut lines and that we delete any of the extra cut lines on the outside, so that we have only one line on the outside of the graphic. Very good. Issue 5. Cut line set to fill, not stroke. For issue number 5, we'll show you an example of a cut line that is used as a fill instead of a stroke. The problem with that is the printer will not read the cut line correctly. So we want to make sure instead of using the fill color here, we set it to stroke. And then, as you can see, the cut lines are now doubled. So, we just want to make sure that we ungroup and delete any extra cut lines so that all we have left is one cut line that we want. Very good. Issue 6. File doesn't meet transfer cut guidelines. For issue number 6, we made these files to showcase several common examples of how transfer cut files cannot meet the transfer cut guidelines. This one showcases an example where a file doesn't meet the thickness requirement. Transfer cut files need to be at least 1/8 of an inch thick which it shows here in your transform panel that it is only 0.03 inches thick. The text itself is also below the artwork requirements in this case, so we want to make sure the text is tall enough and also thick enough. In this case, the text is tall enough, but does not meet the thickness requirements. Now in this file here, another problem we run into is the text and artwork elements are too close together to cut out. In this case, there just isn't enough room for us to weed out the extra material. So, we also require there is also an 1/8 of an inch thickness between artwork elements. The last problem we run into is when we're cutting out the lettering like this. The pixels within the letters can also be too small. In this case, these letters are only about 0.2 inches tall, so the pixels within the letters will definitely not be big enough to cut out. So, we want to make sure all the letters are meeting the requirements and the pixels as well. Thank you for watching.